the venison balls in here? No, those aren't yours. Those are my venison balls.
You don't have to, because your dad never does. Right?
My son already asked for the tech, but it's.
Thanks for holding up for 10 minutes or so. That's all right. That was very helpful. I got everyone. All right, perfect.
Well, Coach, I imagine you had a lot of guys out there trying to find their way around the last couple of days. What did you see from your group, and did you get accomplished what you wanted to?
Yeah, I think we did. We had a good forward practices. We had 2 practices yesterday, 2 today, and the big thing was try to get these guys a look so they could showcase their skill and ability, and then we can make a decision on them moving forward, whether to bring them to camp or sign them or what have you. So I think we got accomplished what we needed to get accomplished. We got to see our draft picks for the first time, and we're excited about what they did and what they bring to the team.
How hard is it to evaluate them just in a couple of days based on where they need to be and where they are now coming off college?
Well, it's a little difficult, but it's good to just get them some general information moving forward so the first time they step on a field, it's not overwhelming to them. Now it's a good chance for them to learn the system, just bits and pieces of it moving forward so they have a good general knowledge of it. So when they do come training camp, this experience will help them moving forward, and that's all we want to get accomplished. We want to see them out on the hoof, just running around, playing, competing, and and then figure out where we need to go, where we need to help them improve, and in what areas.
To get Trent Murphy and Morgan Moses across from each other. It's a very powerful question, obviously. to have them across from each other and be able to see what they've got against each other. How nice was that?
It was good. It's big tackle, and Trent is a big defensive end, outside linebacker. So both of them did a nice job coming in here. We're very excited to have Trent. He's another element of the pass rush that we very drastically need, and he did some good things coming around the corner. He has inside moves. He got a good spin move. Everything we saw on tape, he demonstrated out here in just 4 practices, and he's only going to get better. The ability to move him around and do some things with him defensively, I think, is exciting. And Morgan, he's got a ways to go. He's a right tackle. He's moving over to right tackle and just introducing him to the outside zone the way we want it, the protections the way we want it. It's going to take him some time, but we're happy with his progress, and he's got a major upside with his size.
What did you think of Spencer Long? I know he played in some zone blocking schemes in college, and how is he doing as far as picking up?
Yeah, he did a great job. His first day, from the first day to the 4th day of practice, you can see how effective he's going to be, how smart he is, number one, how physical he can be. He's athletic enough to do whatever we want in the zone game, and he's smart enough to pick up the blitzes and the line stunts, and he's going to be competitive right away.
Jay, what'd you think of Ryan Grant out there? I had that little vicious move to the outside there,
yeah.
Left the defensive back down on the ground.
Ryan Grant's he plays like a 10-year veteran already. He's very smooth. He understands route concepts. He understands depths, how important they are, how to set people up easy in and out of breaks effortlessly. So he had a couple drops, but a little bit nervous, I'm sure, but very, very excited to have Ryan, and the ability to, like I said when we drafted him, to be able to move him around outside and inside, I think is a huge benefit for him, and he's going to be a very, very good football player. No, he's everything we expected. He's a very good kicker, a very good college kicker. Now, the rookie kickers in the NFL are not many of them that have had a lot of success, but we have high hopes for him. He's going to come in here and compete. We have a good field goal kicker here, but the ability that he has with a strong leg, a little added dimension for kickoffs and touchbacks are very, very important. So, we'll see moving forward. We're going to have competition, like I said, at every position, and kicker's no different. So we'll see how they go and how things transpire in the preseason, how he handles the pressure. And only time will tell in that regard.
Jay, probably the draft picks, especially the higher ones, you probably had seen a lot of, talked to them, but some of these undrafted rookies and trial guys, obviously you didn't know very much about. One or two guys going to jump out at you today over the last couple of days?
There has been a few, and we're going to go over them right now. We're not going to name names right now, who we're going to sign, who we're not going to sign. But these guys came out here and didn't know a lot about them, like you said, and we threw a lot of things at them. We want to see how they can handle not only what they could do with their skill level, but what they could do mentally as far as what they could handle. And I think for the most part, they came in here and competed. Hats off to every one of those guys. You know, we love coaching guys like that. They came out here, practiced hard, played hard, were attentive in meetings, and did everything they could to try to get their foot in the door. And how many of them will get their foot in the door, we'll decide that here in the next couple of weeks.
The guys you signed the other day, like the 9 of them, nobody from that group really jumped out?
Oh, yeah, there's a few of them that jumped out. You know, I don't want to single anybody out right now. We're just going to try to get to our 90-man roster moving forward to training camp. But there's definitely some skill that's going to come in here and compete with the rest of our guys that are here already.
You, with the draft being pushed back a couple of weeks, you're basically right now for rookie camp 2 weeks closer to training camp than is the norm. You feel like going to be any issues getting these rookies up to speed with the compressed time frame?
Yeah, that is an issue, and that's a negative of moving it back. There's no doubt about it. Some teams didn't even have this rookie camp. They're just right into phase 2, and they'll go into OTAs in the next couple of weeks. But we wanted to have a rookie camp so we could see our draft picks and we could bring in some undrafted guys and let them compete and hopefully find a sleeper or two that we didn't know about to come in and compete for the roster. But there is concern, but part of the reason we drafted who we drafted smart guys. You know, we try to draft smart guys that are football smart and played in good systems, and hopefully they'll be able to learn fast. But earlier, you know, what we did in free agency, we're not necessarily having to draft guys that come in and play, 70 snaps a game right away. They can come in and be a backup and play situationally and then learn and develop. And that's the beauty of what we did in the free agent market this year. So they're going to come in and compete, and how much they can handle will be determined after training camp and preseason.
But Bashad plays really aggressively out there on corner. You didn't have the refs out there today. I know that's part of the appeal. That also cuts the other way. How do you advise him on straddling that line?
Well, as an offensive coach, we think it's holding interference. As a defensive coach, that's a hell of a job. He's physical, so there is a fine line there. And we're going to have referees out here throughout training camp, and they're going to police it, and we'll continue to coach him up. But when he's at the line of scrimmage, one of his strengths is playing bump and run. He's got the long arms. He's very physical, and that's his strength. We got to make sure he just watches the holding and all that. But very impressed with the way he handled the mental aspect of the game, the coverages, and also the physical, obviously, with his technique.
Coach, when we spoke to you last week, you mentioned that cornerback Tracy Porter had some sort of an injury. No one followed up on that. What's wrong with him, and how severe is his injury?
He just had a surgery after the season. He's just recovering. He's going to be fine for training camp. Yeah, it's just a thing that happened after the Raiders season. He had, I think, a shoulder surgery, like torn labrum. I believe we'll talk to Larry about it, but it's a minor deal. He's recovering. He'll be fully recovered by the time we start training camp. Not participate right now. He is, he's in the training room working out with Larry, doing all those things, and he can run.
Jay, with Trent, from your perspective, the book on him was he wasn't as good with his hand down, but what have you seen? Because, I talked to him this morning. He feels very good about both, playing with his hand in his dirt. What have you seen?
I've seen him, just out here for 4 practices, and what I saw on college tape, he's effective both standing up and with his hand down. You don't lead the nation in sacks unless you're versatile in what you do and how you line up and how you rush. And the knock on him is maybe he's not the greatest athlete, but I see a guy who, as far as the defensive ends and outside backers are concerned, ran as good or better short shuttle than anybody, and the long shuttle he ran as good or better than everybody else. And he's great off the snap. And if you have quickness off the snap and you got great length, you make up for a lot of your speed deficiency, so to speak. So he's got a wide variety of moves, and Coach Baker's only going to make him better and better. He's got a long way to go, obviously, but we're excited to work with a guy that's 6'5.5", and with room to get bigger and stronger, and has the arsenal of moves that he has. He can counter move. He doesn't predetermine his moves when he rushes. He's got a good spin move. He's got an inside move. He's got outside. He uses his hands. He's got great he can get down, work his leverage. So he's got all the skill you want already. Now it's just a matter of keep developing and keep working on his get-offs and just keep developing them. And, we're happy with that pick. There's no doubt.
You talked about how Lake Seastrunk might be a little bit of a project as he learns pass catching. How does he look in these first few practices he adapts like that?
Well, Lake, it's brand new to him. No knock against Baylor. Baylor has one of the great offenses in college football, but they don't do anything. They didn't, I don't know, as far as protections and route running. He didn't catch any balls, like I said. So the major reach for him was going to be picking up blitzes and, running routes out of the backfield. It's brand new to him. So it's no knock on him. It just might take him a little bit more time. But, he'll get it. Coach Jordan is going to get after him quite a lot, and it's going to take him some time, and it's not going to happen overnight with Lake. He's got a long way to go, but he'll get there. He's 22, 23 years old, and some of these guys coming out of college, when they have to see all the different fronts and all the different blitzes and all the different coverages and all the routes and all the protections, it's a lot to handle for a young kid, and it's going to take him some time.
Coach, can you talk about your approach as a head coach at practice? I mean, it seems like you're having a lot of fun, patting yourself on the back, throwing passes, covering receivers. I mean,
I did throw some good passes.
Yeah. So can you talk about that? I mean, there's different ways head coaches approach that. So what's the approach you're taking?
I've always been, I don't know what my approach is. I just try to be myself out there. I try to have some fun. I want to make sure that the energy level's high out there and guys are enjoying what they're doing. But in the meantime, we got to stay on them and make sure they're disciplined and not jumping off sides and running to the ball on defense and offensively finishing blocks and finishing runs and running the routes at the right depth. There's a lot of coaching going on in there. Doesn't mean I have to be a hard ass on every snap and yelling at people. So I like to have fun, keep things loose, and just coach the game of football that we all love to play and coach. I wanted them to have fun when they come out here, but also want to be very competitive and do their work.
Following up to that, first for these kids out here, but for you, it's a first rookie minicamp. They say they're learning this playbook. It's a challenge for them. What are you learning? What's something maybe that you didn't expect over the last few days that you've learned?
Well, everybody's different. I've already known that, but, coaching different people in different positions, you have to handle it differently. Some guys learn visually, some guys learn out on the field, some guys need to visually see it on the film, and that just is more of the reason why we hired such a good staff. And I have to understand that each day I don't ever want to put this on myself. This is about us as an organization, as a staff, working together and making sure we stay organized and on top of everybody and coach everybody equally. But overall, what I've learned is just the short time that I've been here, what great fan support we have and what it means to be a Redskin is very important to a lot of people. We have a lot to live up to, no question.
Coach, for the guys that are coming in this weekend as invitees, what are you looking for, and what does it take for them to make an impression?
Well, we saw a lot of good things from a lot of different people. Unfortunately, we only have 90 guys that we can bring to camp, and these guys did the best they could, and that's all we could ask for is come out here, play hard, showcase your skill the best of your abilities, and after that, that's all you can do. That's try to just do the best you can, and the spots are very limited in the National Football League. It's very, very difficult to make an NFL roster. I don't think anybody really understands how fortunate people are when they do make a roster. When you see guys like this, there's 10, 15, 20 guys I would love to pull from here and bring to training camp. We just don't have the spots. But very impressed with the way these guys came in and played, and unfortunately we only have 90 spots, but hopefully they'd get on somewhere else.
Give you a softball here. Your brother John earlier this week said that you're a much better coach than he ever was.
Yeah.
Your response?
He's won a Super Bowl, right?
This is true.
He's a little better.
Jay, can you talk a little bit about Cody Hoffman? You guys have been looking for a big target wide receiver, 6'4", and had some great production at BYU. What did you think of him?
Cody's a good-sized kid, and that's one thing in our receiving core. You like those guys, have a couple guys that are 6'2", 6'3". He's 6'3.5", I think. He's a very smooth route runner with great natural hands and can pluck it. He doesn't have the great vertical speed that you'd love to be a guy 6'3" that runs a 4.3 40, but he's 6'3", but he doesn't run the 4.3. But he's got good natural hands. He'll come into training camp and compete with the rest of the guys. Special teams will be important to him as far as making the roster. See how he does in that area of the game, but we're happy with what we saw in Cody and a lot of the other receivers also.
Something you touched on earlier about running a practice and working with assistants. One of the things that some coordinators have said when they making the adjustment from coordinator to head coach is that you have to learn how to delegate more. Is that challenge for you?
No, I've always tried to delegate. Even when I was a coordinator, I tried to let the line coach the line, and the running backs coach, and the receivers coach, and I try to delegate responsibilities certain areas of the game, and that's no different here. And Coach Hazlett's going to have a major responsibility on defense, obviously. Coach Kotwika, I'm never going to overstep my boundaries with Coach Kotwika. Hell, he intimidates me. I'm going to leave him alone. And then, of course, our line coach does a great job. Sean does a great job. And that's the whole thing. You got to have faith in the people around you. And I do. I feel like I hired a great staff, scouting staff, everybody up here. We have a good foundation right here. And moving forward, I feel confident about everybody's ability to coach and to play.
Coach, these are for these guys, it's their first taste of a pro camp. In your opinion, what do you think is their biggest adjustment?
Probably learning. And I told somebody, it's like, these poor guys, we got 2 or 3 days. They're trying to learn a brand new language, and they're not going to be able to move to a different country and speak it fluently. You know what I mean? So they just got to learn bits and pieces and try to master what we're teaching them. They're trying to learn everything, and that's the hardest thing to translate mentally into out on the field and playing fast. They got to break the huddle, and they got to know exactly their split, the route, the concept, the depth of the route, everything, protection for the offensive line, defensive line. Am I a 4-eye? Am I a 3? Am I slanting inside? Am I looping? And is it a rip call? Is it a Liz call? Is it cover 3, cover 4, cover 2 buster? I mean, there's a lot of these guys, and it's a little bit overwhelming for them. And then we say play fast. So, okay, let's go, break. And they have, about 18 seconds to decipher the front. They have to decipher the coverage on offense and defensively. They got to see the formation. They got to see the back. They got to see the quarterback read, run, or pass. So I think all that is a major adjustment with coaches in their ear barking at them all the time. And then the tempo of it is also obviously different. So, but for the most part, I think hats off to our coaches for getting it done. So we looked halfway organized out there. And hats off to these players for coming in and learning and battling both mentally and physically.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. Thank you, guys.